All right, this is a redo of my Ventures collection video 1, domestic LPs. This is the Walk Don't Run LP, and on the back we have a picture of the 4 Ventures and a list of songs there. Morgan was a hit by a German artist. And then My Own True Love, Don Wilson's playing lead on that one with Noki right there. Well, that's not Noki. There's Noki. Noki playing some backup parts to that lead. Very interesting. The cover is not the picture that you see, not the same people you see anyway on the back. These are stockroom boys. And here you see the Ventures, much older than what the picture on the front. Well, they're mid-20s anyway, the Ventures are by this time. Walk Don't Run was their big hit in 1960, so they Home also was a B-side of the hit. Home and Walk Don't Run are both in mono on this album, and never have been put out in stereo. So that's unfortunate. But actually, that's not true. Walk Don't Run, it has been put out in stereo. In fact, in the 90s was the first time on CD it was a stereo. No Trespassing's an original. And let's see, Noki's playing lead on that one. Caravan is and Sleepwalk, I believe both of those, and the McCoy are all Bob on lead. Let's see, and there's Don, as I said, played the lead on. I think he played lead on Ranchi too. Anyway, so you know, they had a little problem with the Adventures were on tour apparently, and so they had to use these stockroom guys for the cover. And so later on, they did this outline version, and now this particular copy, let's see, I believe this is the one, yeah, this has a Seattle label on the inside, and that's kind of rare. It's a stereo copy. And anyway, here's yet another copy. It's a monaural copy with the line drawing on the back cover. Let's see, Barbara Grimes is the model on the front. This is a Canadian, actually. I said this would be all domestic, but actually I do have a Canadian issue thrown in here with that maroon label there. Most of the labels are light blue on the earliest copies. There's the picture again. And this one, I'll show you the label. This is actually a dark green label, which is another one of the early pressings. The first pressings so either were done on a green label or on a light blue label. Anyway, what else was I going to say? The album was released in December of 1960. Josie Wilson and Bob Reisdorf thought, well, it's time to put out an album. They had like 30 songs they'd been playing on tour. Here's the light blue cover. A label, not cover. Anyway, Josie Wilson, Don's mom, who had started the label before they got signed to Dalton, the Blue Horizon label. Here's an English copy, mono copy with a banner on the top. Anyway, yeah, Bob Reisdorf was the producer, and as well as Josie Wilson, and Josie says she selected some of the songs, and that seems stands to reason. My Own True Love's kind of a ballad type thing, and I don't know. This is a 1968 version of the album, and we see Jerry McGee on the left, and John Durrell's right in the middle, but Bob Bogle is there with his in between Jerry, and there's Jerry and John Durrell. Anyway, Mel Taylor is also, and there's Don Wilson, Mel Taylor up there, Bob Bogle there, and so only 2 of these guys, Bob and Don, are on the actual recording. This is just a new cover that they put on it in 1968 when the group was reformed. Anyway, this LP, the original one, hit number 11 in the charts, and in when it was released after December 1960, it hit 11, number 11. That's pretty good, especially in an era where singles were the big thing. Now this back cover is also different, uh, and uh, yeah, so it's showing a picture of the 1968 group, and there's the names down there, John Durrell and Jerry McGee. Jerry had replaced Nokie. There's some neat collectible albums down here, um, Changing Times there, and Revolving Sounds. Those are both these ones are highly collectible. They're just redos of previous albums, just different covers, but for some reason collectors like to have those. Um, let's see, yeah, they recorded 30, not recorded, but had been touring with about 30 songs in their repertoire, and they whittled them down to 12, and the album stayed on the charts for 37 weeks. And that's pretty darn good. Um, Nokie's lead on No Trespassing. Actually, Bob and Don agree that Nokie's doing No Trespassing, Raunchy, and Night Train. I would have thought Don did Raunchy. This is a wild version of the cover from England in the later 60s. And yeah, that's pretty neat. Uh, so anywho, this is the Ventures' second album. Originally it was going to be called Rhythm in Mood. And I don't know, at some point they just said, ah, let's just call it The Ventures. And it's got this wonderful cover of the guys playing the Fender guitars, Howie Johnson on the drums. Before Mel, they had Howie Johnson. I should have mentioned on Walk Don't Run, it's not Howie Johnson, though, on the song, on the hit song. That was a guy named Skip Moore, a drummer. Let's see. So anyway, what was I going to say? This is released in July 61, hit number 39 on the LP charts. That's pretty good. It was 14 weeks in the charts. Had the song Perfidia on it, which was their second big hit after Walk Don't Run. It hit number 15. There's that Fender headstock, and yeah, so none of these songs are originals on here. These were all cover tunes they did. Don did lead on Detour. I said Howie Johnson on the drums. I understand also there's a drummer on here named Sharky Hall. And the Ventures, Don Randall was the head of sales at Fender. And he was responsible for putting Fender guitars in the Ventures' hands. And this is the advertising sleeve, nice colorful version of it. And it's a Quiet Village there, classic album, Martin Denny albums here I'm seeing on the back, and those were very popular at the time. Anyway, yeah, Don Randall at Fender, and so there they are. I think these are, if you look closely at Don's guitar, the neck is somewhat worn. This is a white label promo of the album. But I was talking about, with respect to Don's guitar, and so shortly after this, Don Randall said, well, if you want to trade those in, I'll get you new Fender guitars. And Bob Bogle in Don Halterman's book is reported as saying, boy, I wonder what happened to that old one. It'd be that original Jazzmaster I had. He's holding on that cover there. There's another stereo copy, and let's see. Oh yeah, it had a different label, dark blue label. That's why I have that additional copy there. This is the English copy, and they have, you know, a slightly different cover, and it's a mono edition. Perfidia also did very well in the UK, hit number 5 in the UK. This, I think, well, it's Los Ventures, so I believe it's an Argentine copy from Argentina. Los Ventures, they even did the bass drum cover there. And so, let's see. Yeah, and the the quality on the South American copies is not so great, unfortunately. This is a version that came out in the 80s. It's an abridged version, only has 10 tracks, but excellent sound quality. There's that. Now here, this is would be about a late 59 or early 1960 with the Sunburst Stratocaster. And as I was saying, the neck's a little bit worn on that one. So he traded that in shortly after. I think Bob originally owned that particular Stratocaster and gave it to Don when he got the Jazzmaster. Uh, Noki playing a Precision bass, the Fender Precision. And anywho, let's see. With only 10 tracks, the sound quality is pretty good on this. Of course, Ventures albums didn't have a lot of tracks on a side anyway, but they, when the tracks go into the center, towards the center of the album, you start to lose quality. Well, if you've got fewer tracks and you've got enough space in the grooves, anyway, in this one, upon listening to it, I was quite pleasantly surprised, and the vinyl's really clean on it. Anyway, let's see, what else did I want to say? They have the red blazers they're wearing and the loafers. That was their idea. I think they got those at J.C. Penney or something. It says in the Halterman book. Anyway, another smash. Kind of a strange album cover from a silent film. I don't know if anybody's identified what film that's from, but this came out in September. The last album came out in July 61, the first album in December 60. Here's a third album coming out just a couple months after July when the last album. This is September 61. And another smash, as you see. I love the album's advertising on the back. You see there's only 2 Ventures showing. They're not showing Noki and Howie this time. And if you listen to the interview that's on the EMI CD called The Very Best of the Ventures, there's an interview from this era where Don and Bob are being interviewed by a Armed Forces radio. And they note that Noki and Howie had left to pursue careers of their own. And they still play on the recordings, but Bob and Don would use different backing musicians. Not long after this, they'd go to Japan. They'd do a tour in Japan where they used completely different backing musicians. Lullaby of the Leaves and Meet Mr. Callahan, these are tunes they would have got from Trombone as well, would have gotten from Chet Atkins albums. And in particular, Hi-Fi and Focus, where they found Walk Don't Run. I know that Lullaby of the Leaves is also on that one. Certainly a big influence by Chet Atkins. And I figured if it worked the first time, let's do Lullaby of the Leaves in that style, simplified, rocked out style. And it did become a bit of a hit. It broke the top 40. This LP broke the top 40. This LP hit number 39 and stayed on the charts for... no, I'm wrong. This LP only hit number 105. I'm looking at my notes of the previous album. This one only hit number 105. Stayed on the charts 14 weeks. Not too bad, but they're starting to slide. They're not. They're wondering what should we do next. We're not. This album didn't do nearly as well as the previous albums. There's a strange alternate cover here too. It's interesting anyway. I don't know what else I was going to say about this, but this is a stereo edition. It's another light blue label version. So they're wondering what to do. They're not, and so they come up with a concept and they do this album, Colorful Ventures. This comes out in October, just a month after the last album. Who releases albums anymore 1 month after the previous? This one did a little better, hit 94, number 94 in the LP charts, and stayed on the charts for 17 weeks. And as I say, now this is a yellow label promo. I showed a white label. The promos in these early days came in either white or yellow. And So if I find both of them, I'll get the different label variations. Um, and so uh, the promos are good to have because they are we're talking about early pressings. Now this track Blue Moon here, uh, that if you have a mono edition of the album, it's going to be a different mix or a different, actually a little bit different recording than the stereo edition. The middle section in particular is completely different. Um, and so this is yet another copy. Um, they're showing I like the way they had the big pictures of the previous 3 albums that they'd put out. There's some great songs. Silver City has strings on it, and I believe Hank Levine is the string arranger on here, and Johnny Mann singers help out on some of the, when you hear vocals, I know that he helped. That would probably be on the previous album. I don't know if there's lady vocals on this one. But now, so this is going to have a stereo version of Blue Moon, and there's a white label promo version. I had the yellow earlier, and they call them audition records. And so that's it's kind of nice to find them that way, if you can find them. Again, that's going to be an early pressing. It's going to have excellent sound quality. Nowadays, the vinyl is pressed from digital masters, and if you're really into vinyl and you're really into analog, you don't want it pressed from a digital master. You want it and so this is really the way to get it, is to find these old copies that were completely analog process. They didn't even have a digital process back in the early 60s. This is the English release, monaural, with that banner on the top, and it's on the London label, not Dolton. Dolton used to be called Dolphin, was originally Dolphin, and I don't know if somebody else had that name, but anyway, that's the first 4 Ventures LPs, and I'll have another collection to talk about in the future. This is a reel-to-reel tape of Walk Don't Run, and that I have, and with the line drawing on the back cover, but you see all this information. And here's some wonderful early promos. There's Howie Johnson playing a snare drum, and the Ventures with their nice brand new Fender guitars. In the future, I'll get to the Twist album, and that's just, this one's actually a reel-to-reel tape again. I have a few of the tapes. This one was signed by Don and Mel, and I tried to get Bob to sign it when I saw him up in Seattle, and there's Noki, a young picture of Noki Edwards, and his brother Ira, and there they are again with a sax player. Oh, what's his name? I'll have to look at the Halterman book again and find out what his name was. Was it Don Markham? Markham, I watched Steve. I don't know, I have to get it. And there's Don and Bob, and another early promo shot. Don playing a rosewood neck there.